Following another brutal loss by the Toronto Blue Jays, John Schneider has a lot to say about the team, and it seems like he could be on the way out if their play continues. So we'll break that down in this episode, as well as some more moves that they made. So we're going to do all that. Before we do, it seems like we're missing someone.
I'm right here, Nick. And it's about time we did this in person. So if you guys don't know, Nick is from Newfoundland. I'm from Montreal. This is the first time we're meeting in person. And Nick is exactly what I expected him to be, like straight as an arrow. You know, a guy that knows what he's talking about. And I'm a bit more of a wild card. And I think both those theories came true last night. But Nick, I'm glad to be here with you today.
We're here.
I'm glad to discuss another brutal loss by the Toronto Blue Jays. And I mean, where do they go from here? John Schneider's job is on the line. A lot of players' jobs are on the line. Where do the Blue Jays go from here? Because I think at this point, they're at an all-time low for this season.
Yeah, yesterday we were together, not watching the game really. They were up 3-1, and then they collapsed and lost 9-3. Let's just get into some of the comments here. It's a very sad time to be a Jays fan. I was in Toronto the past week, and the vibes are a bit weird regarding the Jays. Luckily, the Maple Leafs are doing good, but yesterday following his game, he basically said that this will turn around soon. It's going to come. It's just a matter of time. Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is going to be all right. And then right before the game yesterday, he basically said the polar opposite, and that the time is now, the time is to win. They went out, they lost to Corbin Burns, and you can see here, there's some swear words there, so PG-13, but you can't let guys off the hook, whether it's Corbin or Babe Ruth, it doesn't matter. Cy Young, it doesn't matter. You have to keep grinding. So, Peter, his tone shifted dramatically.
Yeah.
Do you think that has to do with him maybe getting a call that
Oh, yeah.
his job could be, not on the line, but under pressure going forward?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he definitely got a call from Ross Atkins saying, hey, buddy, your job might be on the line here. And people are losing patience, whether it's fans, whether it's ownership. They wanted results. And I don't know if they could have necessarily expected results, considering the lack of moves that they made in this offseason. And the need was there. Like, you knew what you had to address what if you were the Blue Jays. And they failed to do that. Their number one acquisition was a 39-year-old Justin Turner, who has been their best player. But again, he's 39 years old. And can you rely on him in game 140 if his body starts to break down? Hasn't yet. But we're still in the early portion of the season, and your guys that you basically bet on in the offseason, Vladdy, Bo, Springer, those guys are yet to deliver. And Vladdy has been okay as of late, but the power numbers are nowhere where they need to be, nowhere near where they need to be. So I'm looking at all of this, and I'm not blaming John Schneider one bit, because he was dealt a bad hand. Ross Atkins knew what he had to do in the offseason, and he failed to do it. And now it's coming true. Like they said it was a movie a couple of years ago. This has been a 3-year-long nightmare that the Blue Jays have been entrenched in. And they knew what they had to do in the offseason. They failed to address those areas of need. And now they're paying for it. And John Schneider might be the fall guy because of that relationship between Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro. And I think it's unfair because a manager doesn't really dictate that much in the modern baseball. But it is what it is, Nick.
It's not getting much better. He had some more things to say. He said the frustration, and this is from Keegan Matheson, who's been around the team for a while, of course. He said the frustration towards Schneider is definitely understandable. Managers take the bullets. Fans should feel however they want. But he spends as much time as anyone on the Jays, and I'm not hanging this slow start on the manager. And again, you can see the bottom comments, how much they've shifted compared to the one before yesterday's game, and then this was, or before, I guess before a couple days ago. And the time is now, the time is not, it's going to happen. And Peter, they are now 15-18, and I popped this up there when you were speaking a little bit. The ERA, obviously the starters have been fine, but the bullpen's been a bit rough lately. Eric Swanson's been falling apart a little bit, and you look at the hitting stats there, and it doesn't go into in depth too much, but I mean, where does the team go from here? They've kind of hit what seems like rock bottom. They're tied for last in the AL East against an AL East that is obviously very strong, but you could have probably not painted a more unfortunate start for the Blue Jays after a decent 5-5 start on a very rough home season opener for the schedule was.
I don't know what they can do, and that's not a knock on like who's out there available in free agency or even on the trade market, but I just look at this team and I can't see them making that jump internally. We've been waiting for it for 2+ years now, Nick, and it's yet to happen. we've been saying Vladdy's going to bounce back. He's closer to 2021 Vladdy than he is to 2023 Vladdy, and that's not been true. He's been getting progressively worse every season. Bo Bichette as well. Like there's a ceiling to how good he can be, and we've seen the consistency with him. It's an 800 OPS with close to 200 hits and not a lot of power to go with that, and not great drawing walks and stuff like that. So there's a cap to how good he can be. That's why we've been so adamant that Vladdy has to be the best player on this team, because we've seen his ceiling. We've seen him at his best. And that's an MVP candidate. That's a guy that in a normal year when Shohei Ohtani is not gracing the face of this earth, he would have won MVP. Yeah. So internally, they got to step it up, but I don't know if they can. And I don't think there's anything out there that'll change that. Like, if they do make an acquisition at the deadline, what's that going to change if your top three hitters that are getting paid a combined probably $65 to $70 million are not producing? What is that going to do to help them out? I'm not so sure. I'm looking for answers. I've been trying to find them over the course of these first 30-odd games, and I'm puzzled, Nick. I'm really puzzled.
It's funny that we came together at a time where the Jays are awful. They've been okay the past few seasons, but today the past few little bit, it's been really bad. And I don't think it's necessarily on John Schneider. He's made some questionable decisions. We're all aware of that. But really, Ross Atkins is the one who needs to take the blame for this. He's had 3 years now, and there's an article posted that we'll cover in a future video. But I don't know if his time is nearing up. If you look at the offseason moves, he made some good ones, not bringing back Matt Chapman. Even some of these guys that he let go with Merrifield were all bad. But his replacement, I don't think, was good enough. No. Or they just wrongly, at this point, bet on their internal guys too much. But I don't know what else they could have done in the sense of, now, if Vladdy doesn't perform, Bo doesn't perform, they don't have contract extensions in place. What do they do from here is the question. And any quick thoughts before I move on to some moves and we wrap up here?
Yeah, and I know that the talk all offseason long was about betting on the guys in-house and saying how much belief there was there that a bounce back was inevitable. But I think it says the opposite. Not making moves, not wanting to spend money unless it was Shohei Ohtani. That to me says that there's not much faith in this group right here. That we don't want to have any long-term contracts for 8 to 10 years because we don't believe in this current group of players. That's why they went out and signed a 39-year-old Justin Turner to a 1-year deal. That's why they went out and signed IKF to a 2-year team-friendly-ish deal. Like that's why they made those kind of dumpster diving, I wouldn't say dumpster diving moves, but bargain type of moves. It's because they didn't want to have any money in the near future be dedicated to guys that are not going to help this team win, because you needed a lot more than, let's say, a Jorge Soler in the offseason to push this team over the top, and that's proven itself to be true here. So maybe there was a mandate from ownership that unless it's Shohei, we're going to go pretty conservative here in the offseason, and that's what they've done. Someone's going to have to take the fall for it, because you can't fire 26 players.
Yeah.
That's never been done before. Maybe the Blue Jays are going to go against the grain and do that, and maybe you'll all be happier if that does happen. But I can't see that coming to fruition. I'm thinking that someone is going to take the fall here, and it's got to be Ross Atkins. It's got to be Ross Atkins, because Mark Shapiro's not going to fire himself. That's out the window. That's not a possibility. And I don't think it would be in the Blue Jays ownership best interest to get rid of Mark Shapiro. And John Schneider firing a third coach in, 3 seasons, Nick? That's not a great look either. And you don't want to be paying 3 different guys and bring in a 4th guy and pay him too. So it doesn't make sense in that regard. So I think Ross Atkins would be the first one to go, and then they're all going to start to drop like flies.
Yeah, and lineup-wise, they brought in IKF, who wasn't a hitter, a good hitter at all. They got in Justin Turner. And looking back at the IKF deal, very expensive compared to the rest of the deals for other hitters that they could have gotten, maybe in theory. So it was a miss by Ross Atkins not bringing in another hitter, and this is what this has led to now. John Schneider potentially being on the hot seat. And I don't know how long it'll take. I don't think he's going to get fired in the next 20 games. I think he probably gets at least halfway through the season. But I mean, if things continue to spiral the way they have, with the record being 15 and 18, I mean, the Jays are a better team than this in theory. But you look at the losses now, that's 3 in a row. It's been very rough. But before we do wrap up, Peter, just want to get your quick thoughts on this. Nathan Lucas has been recalled. They optioned Barger after getting one hit in, I don't know how many at-bats, but like a few games. I saw his first hit live at the Rogers Center. I think he'll be a very good player. I mean, I don't know. They didn't give him too much runway, but they were trying to win now. They're trying to salvage any wins they can. And I mean, Nathan Lucas has been on fire in AAA, but I don't know how much I necessarily like this move, but I guess it makes sense. Bringing me a Relvis Martinez is what I want to see.
Yeah, well, I guess considering the fact that they played Addison Barger in left field and the way that Nathan Lucas has been playing, and him actually having outfield experience in left field, I think that was the move that maybe kind of convinced them to go forward with that. Addison Barger, I think he'll be a good player as well, but you know, he's not playing every day. He was sitting against lefties. He wasn't really getting that runway that a veteran player would, and that's natural. He's a rookie. He's not going to figure it out right away, so let him figure it out in AAA, and maybe calling him up later in the season would make more sense when maybe the Blue Jays are out of it, or if they need some reinforcements come a stretch run in September, which is wishful thinking considering the way that the team is playing right now. But let's try to stay positive here, Nick. It's been it's positive that we got together here at this time.
Maybe this will turn the season around.
Because we share the same thoughts about what we've seen so far from the Toronto Blue Jays, and it's not good. It's not good if you look at those numbers right there. But yeah, this was good. We got to do this again, man. Got to do this again.
Hopefully this turns around the Jays season, and if it does, we can look back at this video and see it 15 and 18 at the time of watching. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this different type of video. Let us know in the comment section if I should come back to Montreal very soon. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you soon.